I've been speaking now for about almost 25 years, speaking all over the world. Every time I open it up for a Q&A, I get three major questions. Number one, where is Jimmy Hoffa buried? Number two, have you ever killed anybody? And number three, where is all your money buried? Those are the three questions I get. Well, today, I'm going to answer one of them. Hey everyone, welcome to another Sit Down with Michael Franzese. Hope everybody is doing well. And I want to thank everybody. We just passed 435,000 subs. Remember, at 500,000, big giveaway. We're going to show our appreciation. A lot of content on YouTube. Thank you for being loyal and tuning into mine. Really appreciate it. We're going to show our appreciation in a big way this time, so we're getting there soon. MichaelFranzese.com. Everything is doing great. People are coming into our community, joining my crew. Consigliere Network, another new platform that we've created. You're going to hear about it. So everything is doing well in that regard. And know that we appreciate the loyalty and all of you that continue to support me on this channel. Thank you very much. So what are we going to do today? You know, I've been speaking now for about a little over 20 years, almost 25 years, speaking all over the world. I've been Southeast Asia, I've been all over Europe, I've been to Australia, all over America. I've hit every major city. And every time I open it up for a Q&A, I get three major questions. You can predict them. I get the same thing every single time. Number one, where is Jimmy Hoffa buried? Believe it or not, all over the world, they still ask that question. Number two, unfortunately, have you ever killed anybody? I always get that. People have a fascination with that. And number three, where is all your money buried? Okay, you can bet on it just about every time. Those are the three questions I get. Well, today, I'm going to answer one of them. Before I get into that, I have to say something a little bit on a sad note. I've spoken before on YouTube about a very dear and loyal friend and soldier of mine back in the day, member of my crew, Frankie Castagnaro, Frankie G, Frankie Gangster, I called him. Frankie passed away 2 nights ago. He did have COVID, but he had a lot of complications. He was on dialysis. He had a lot of complications, a lot of health issues. He was in his mid-70s, and COVID finally did get him, and unfortunately he passed away. It was tough for me because he was like just about the last remnant of my crew back then. Just about everybody is gone. And he and I have been talking a lot in the past couple of months, and I was really sad to see him go, even though I knew that time was coming. So did he. He faced it like a man. He was crazy, I got to tell you, till his last breath, but very sad to know that he is gone, and more blessed than ever to know that I'm still alive and here and blessed with a family and the ability to come and talk to you all and just do what I do. It just goes to show you people, God has had a different plan and a purpose for my life. So, sorry to see you go, Frankie, and I know you're going to be in a better place, no doubt about it, because he got closer with the Lord in the last several months before he passed away. I like to think I had a little bit to do with that. Certainly my wife did. She had a big impact on him. So, with that, I want to move on to answer one question today. And that question is, I'm kind of going to answer it. Don't say, I'm dancing around it a little bit, but I'm kind of going to answer. I'm going to tell you a story. And that is about the where is all your money? I'm going to tell you where part of it is, or where part of it went, I should say. Goes back to the gas business, of course. Everybody knows that the various activities I had, the biggest thing that I ever brought to the table, along with my partner, Larry Irizza, who is now passed on, was the gas business. It was a scheme that we devised to defraud the government out of tax on every gallon of gasoline. I brought the Russians in as partners. We operated that for about 7 or 8 years, made a tremendous amount of money. And people, look, I don't boast or brag about the money that we made. I went to jail because of it. It was part of the racketeering indictment. The government said defrauded the government out of over $2 billion. I think that's an exaggeration. It was a lot of money. It wasn't $2 billion. At least I don't think so. But it's not something that I can sit here and say I'm proud of. It's just the facts of part of my life, part of my business. So please understand that. And I'm not saying this to glorify that part of it. I know you like to hear stories. I've been asked this question, time and time and time again. So I'm going to answer it as best I could with a little story. Larry Irizzo was my partner. I think you know that. Larry was 6'5". He weighed about 500 pounds. He wasn't a sloppy, fat guy. He was a solid guy. And he was a brilliant guy. And he was the one that gave me the germ of an idea with respect to defrauding the government out of tax. We got together and ran that operation for about 7 or 8 years. Unfortunately, at some point in time, Larry got himself in trouble on an unrelated matter. It was a tax matter, but it was unrelated to what we were doing. And at that time, during his trial, he came to me and he said, "Hey, Chief, I'm not going to jail. Doesn't look good. I'm not going to jail." And I said to him, "Larry, look, the worst you're going to get here is 3 years. Tops, maximum. It's not a big deal charge, 3 years." I said, "If you run, if you decide to be a fugitive, you're going to be a fugitive for the rest of your life. If they do catch you, you're going to get an additional 5 years on top of whatever you would have gotten here. They're going to retry you again. It doesn't make sense." Anyway, he didn't want to listen to that. Look, he was a big guy. He didn't see himself going to prison. We had a jet plane at that time. We had a lot of resources. We had a compound in Panama. We were actually dealing with Noriega, paying off some of his people for asylum there. At that time, there was no extradition between the United States and Panama. So Larry thought he would go to Panama and run our operation, or his part of the operation, from Panama, and the government wouldn't be able to extradite him. First big mistake. Anyway, so he's down there. He skipped, went out on his trial, didn't wait, went down there, moved some of his family there, and he's operating out of Panama. And he's getting a little bit careless because he's doing things that he really shouldn't have done. Give you an example. He's having a wedding for his daughter in Europe. Well, from Panama, he's sending out invitations to people in the United States to go to this wedding in Europe. Now, the government is looking for him. He's a fugitive. They're watching him. They're surveilling everybody, tapping everybody's phone, doing what they got to do to lead to him. So eventually, what did the government do? They wanted him bad because they wanted to get to me. So what do? They couldn't extradite him because of our laws here, but they go in and they make some kind of deal with Noriega or whoever it is, and they go in the middle of the night into Panama. They break the door down in his house. They pull him out, put him on a jet plane, and bring him over to Florida and lock him up. Well, that was that, right? That's the U.S. government. They can do that. No sooner than they get him in the cell, and I was told this later on by an FBI agent, they put him in that cell and he sees that cot, it's about maybe 2 feet wide, and he looks at it and realizing his size, he knows he can't even sleep on that. He turns around and he says, "I'll tell you whatever you want to know about Michael." That's all it took for him to see the cot that he couldn't lay on. And anyway, he starts to become an informant on me. And that's when, my situation with the Eastern District of New York, the feds, they were preparing this racketeering indictment, and now they had this star witness against me in the gasoline business because we put the scheme together. So things start to move on. I get indicted, yes, on the case. And prior to that, his son had come to me and told me, my father really doesn't want to do this. And his father had a plan. He was going to appear in the courthouse in the Eastern District of New York in Brooklyn, and he said, "My father wants you to break him out. There's only going to be 2 or 3 marshals around him. He's going to set the whole thing up, and he wants you to capture him or, to kill the marshals, do whatever you have to do, put this guy in a car and get him out of there, and he won't testify." Well, I told his son very politely, I said, "Your father has lost his mind. He's either smoking something or he's losing his mind. That's not going to happen. We're not breaking him out of anywhere. Let him do what he's got to do. I'll fight him in court if that's the thing that he wants to make." And I'll tell you the truth, I was upset by it because he and I were very close. We never really had a disagreement in 7 or 8 years. We made millions of dollars together, and I mean millions. There was a point in time when we were grossing into our operation, between $7 and $8 million a week. We were selling 500 million gallons of gas a month, and we were taking down 30 to 40 cents a gallon, whatever the market would bear at that time. That was the tax on every gallon of gasoline. Between state, federal, and local, it was almost 40 cents a gallon. So we were doing tremendous business, right? And I was upset because, look, his kids called me uncle. We were that close, our families were close, and It was sad that he was going to make that decision, but I also knew that he wasn't the kind of guy that could really do time. He was a big guy like that. He had never faced adversity like that. He was used to living high. I had a feeling that one day I would have to face a situation like that with him. And I'm going to tell you this, you wonder sometimes why God chose you, to take you out of a bad situation, bless you as he had with me. And I'll be honest with you, people, when he was getting weak and we kind of saw that, people have thought about taking him out. That's the mob way. I was a mobster. I was a capo regime at the time. People were thinking about taking him out. I couldn't do it. I said, look, his kids call me uncle. Our families are close. I'll fight him the way I got to fight him. Let's see if he stands up. And, paid the price afterwards. But you know what? In the long run, it was the best decision that I made, I believe. So anyway, here's what happens. Rudy Giuliani, during the time that they're preparing the Eastern District case, this whole gasoline case, Rudy Giuliani indicts me on another case in the Southern District of New York. When he finds out that Rizzo was going to be testifying against me, and he knew that he was that close to me, he wants to bring Rizzo to testify against me in his case against me. The problem was Rizzo didn't really know anything about that case, but they bring him in anyhow. Rizzo takes the stand and against me, and says whatever it is that he has to say. We destroyed him on the stand. I mean, really destroyed him. And I get acquitted in the case. So now his value as a witness has been greatly diminished because he already testified against me and the jury didn't believe him. I was acquitted. Jury didn't believe him. So now he's all upset. They want to throw him out of the witness protection program. You're worthless. You couldn't get a conviction in the Southern District. Why are you going to get it here? Well, here's what happened. He and I had kind of a slush fund that we were putting in the bank in Austria, right? It was a bank account in Austria. The federal tax on a gallon of gasoline at that time was 9 cents a gallon. He and I were taking the 9 cents a gallon and we were putting it in this secret account in Austria. And the way the accounts worked at that time is they were numbered accounts. So when they gave us the number, Rizzo took half the number, I took the other half of the number. So neither of us can go there and get the money. We had to go together. And the Austrian banking system, they were very smart at that time. You had to come with the full number, otherwise you weren't getting the money. So we were, just putting money in there over a period of time. We built it up to about $33 million. Our idea was we were going to leave it there with interest and everything, maybe one day have $100+ million, aside from everything else that we were doing. So that was it. So when his son had told me that, Rizzo was testifying, we knew that, and he wanted us to break him out, when he was headed to the courtroom, I said, forget all of that. I said, but look, whatever your father does, tell him not to give up that account. That's our money. Don't give up the account or the government's they're gonna confiscate it. We're not gonna be able to use it anyway. Rizzo agrees to that initially. But after he loses the Giuliani case and they want to throw him out of the program, now he's desperate. Now he tells them about that $33 million that we have in the account. So now my lawyer is negotiating a plea deal for me because I knew that I had some leverage. Since I beat him in the Giuliani case, the government was worried about getting a conviction against me in the gas case based upon his testimony that's already been decimated. So now they're willing to make a deal with me. So I'm negotiating, my lawyer is, for about 3 months. First they wanted to give me 25 years in prison, $100 million fine. They were going through the whole thing, right? I said, no good. We get it down to 10-year prison sentence, $15 million in restitution and forfeitures and all of that. That was the deal. However, they knew about the $33 million now because Rizzo had told them about it. So now they tell my lawyer, Franzese has got to give up that number. Well, I'm not going to give it up, right? I said, no way. Why should I give it to him? It's $33 million. They made that part of the negotiation. Now, here's what they also did. The feds went over to Austria to try to get the money out of the account with Rizzo's half of the number, and Austria said, sorry, you bring us the full account or you don't get the money. The government tells them, well, it's mob money, it's mafia money, it's illegal. Austria says, okay, we'll put a hold on it, okay, but whoever comes with the full account number, that's who gets the money. So now I really don't have a choice. I got to give him the other half of the number or I'm not going to get the deal that I want. And believe it or not, at that period of time, 10 years wasn't a bad sentence when they were giving guys hundreds and 50s and life in prison. And I was under the old law, meaning that I was still going to be eligible at some point in time for parole. So I figured, okay, on 10 years, maybe I'd do 5. I'd still have a life, I could manage with my family, the whole bit. So that's what I was thinking. So I eventually give up my half of the numbers so that the government can go over and get the 33 million out of the account. That's how much was there, 33 million and change. So at any rate, I lose that 33 million, or my half of it, 16.5 million. But I can tell you what happened. I never got credit for it. That money kind of disappeared. I don't know where it went. I'm not accusing anybody. I don't know, hopefully, taxpayers got use of it in some which way. But I never heard a thing about it. It's not part of my plea agreement. I don't know anything about it. My lawyer, who's now passed away, told me, Michael, you had to do that. Otherwise, you weren't going to get the deal. But that was it. So that was the answer to where some of my money was buried and is now gone. So, interesting story. Just so you know this too, IRS, they gave him back. They gave him back $2.5 million out of that 33 million. That's part that I do know. It was part of his deal to testify against me. They gave him $2.5 million of stolen gas tax money, put it back in his account. That's a fact. It came out during the discovery and all the stuff that we were doing, I should say, during our negotiation for the plea. IRS did get out as soon as I, went in. He did get out. And what happened is he moved to Texas because he knew he couldn't stay in New York now because he had become an informant and it was, highly publicized. So he leaves New York. He goes to Texas. He brings his whole family there. And what does he do? He goes back into the gas business, starts to defraud the government again out of tax, and this time he gets busted. When he gets busted, him and his whole family, they busted his whole family. When he gets busted, he goes to the feds and he says, there's a few things more I never told you about Michael. Well, you know what? They didn't want to hear it. They said, the heck with it. Michael's doing his time. The heck with that. And he goes to jail. I believe, I'm almost positive that both his son and his daughter testified against him in court. That's how, I don't want to use the word karma. I don't really believe in that, but sometimes what goes around comes around. Anyway, he goes to trial. He gets convicted. I believe he got 20 years. He did 17 years on the 20. He came out. A few short years after that, he passed away. So Iorizzo is gone. Again, another one of my associates. I'm going to be honest with people. I liked Iorizzo. Even after he became an informant, he testified, I realized that's part of the life, man. When you get involved in that life, you got to realize you open yourself up for certain things and certain consequences. I knew that he was weak. I knew that he wouldn't stand up, but I still liked him. We made a lot of money together. We had a lot of fun together, a lot of good times. And I felt bad when he passed away. I really did. But look, it just goes to show you, I cannot tell you a really good story about anybody, a really good ending, I should say, about anybody that I was involved with in that life that's now gone. Everything goes bad. And it's something I consistently try to tell you people, especially you young people out there. If you try to pursue a criminal lifestyle, you will go down in flames. Just a matter of time. Either somebody close to you is going to give you up, law enforcement again, too smart, they got too many tactics, too many weapons. You're going to go down at some point in time. You're going to destroy your life. I'm telling you, no matter what you think, you're not going to get away with it. You got to straighten out your life and do what I did. Really, surround yourself with the right people. Be accountable to the right people, people that care about you and want to keep you in the right direction. If it wasn't for that with me, I wouldn't be here. My wife, my children, people around me that care about me. I go to church, the pastors that I speak to, the people that look up to me. I don't want to let them down. It's so important to be accountable to your God, number one, and then the right people around you. Surround yourself with the right people. That is the key in life. There's no doubt about it. So that's it now. Okay, some of you are going to say, wait, Mike, you gypped us. You didn't answer the other questions. Where's all your money? I'm going to tell you something. I lost millions upon millions of dollars. 8 years in prison, I didn't earn a dime. 8 years in prison, didn't earn a dime. Okay, fortunately, I had enough money to support my family. Not in a high lifestyle, just support them. As part of my plea negotiation, I made sure I was able to do that because that's what I cared about. So I lose all that time, 8 years in prison of earning power. $15 million in restitution. Okay, property that I had to forfeit, forfeiture clause. So many things that I lost. So what did it gain me? All the money I made, and I made, millions and millions of dollars. What did it gain me? Didn't gain a lot. if I would have put my energy into legitimate resources like I'm trying to do for the past, well, not trying to do, like I've been doing for the past several years, I'd have been much better off. My family wouldn't have had to suffer 8 years without me, wouldn't have had to go through all the struggles and challenges that we had to do to try to rebuild my life. So trust me, earn a living the right way. Figure it out. Do what you got to do. Join our network. We're helping people, in huge numbers. We're helping them with their life skills, with their business. We're helping them in so many ways. Join up. You see, I guarantee it'll benefit you. So that's it for today, people. Hope you enjoyed it. And, just another story. But again, there's always a moral to the story, people. We don't just tell these things to entertain you. There's always a moral. So that's it. Again, Frankie G, may you rest in peace, bro. I really do miss you like I do so many of my other crew members. I do have to say this. Yeah, it was a tough life, and we went through a lot of struggles, but I had a lot of good relationships back then, too. A lot of guys that I really miss. We had good times. I enjoyed their families, and it's a shame. So many of them met with a bad fate. They really did. Who might have died in prison, who, passed away, penniless. Frankie wasn't doing really good at the end of his life. I mean, it's a sad, sad story. And when I look back again, I just thank God every day for blessing me in the way He has to give me everything that He's given me. And remember this, for those who have been given much, much is expected of them. So we try to do our best, myself and my team, to spread some of the knowledge and the encouragement that we've all garnered over our lifetime and impart it all to you. So that's it for today. How do I always leave you? The same way, and I really mean this. Be safe. Be healthy. Watch yourself out there. God bless, and I will see you next time.